Good morning, everyone. This is Teresa Marsh. I am a local Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming from you, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from Newbern, North Carolina, which is under a lot of ice right now. This is not something we are used to at all. Let's see, trying to look and see what the temp is right now. Somewhere around 26. So much for the warm south, right? Okay, I'm here today to bring you a demonstration that uses the Bloom Impressions paper from the Sale-A-Bration. I'm loving this paper. It is so pretty, it's still available through the end of the month with a $60 order. You can get it for free. So it's just really, really pretty. But we're going to combine it with the Spotlight on Nature bundle. So let's get started right away. We're going to start with, let me look here. No, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. Okay. I guess it's not giving me the options I'm used to having. Let me look. Maybe that's the one. That's the one I want. Okay. All right. I'm slow sometimes. We're going to start with our basic white card base. It's going to be 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We're going to fold it at the score line and burnish it. That helps it lay nice and flat. Helps it lay nice and flat. So how's everybody doing this morning? I have heard from some of my friends that they are without power because of the ice storm that was here in North Carolina that came through last night. This is the piece of Bloom Impressions. My goodness. This is the piece of Bloom Impressions we're going to be using. I should have, well, anyway. You can get it in the, you can look at it in the Sale-A-Bration catalog. Let me take a quick peek. See if I can find it right here. There we go. That was quick. You can see all kinds of colors and whatnot. We're using, which piece are we? We're using this piece right here. I like how it's got a lot of white on it. But the cool thing with this paper is that the flip side, while it might be blooms on the one side, the flip side is a neutral, just, you know, easy going, okay? So we're going to use this on our page, but you see that white on the white background doesn't show up very well. So we're going to put a Petunia Pop piece behind it. But let me show you a trick. We also need a die cut from Petunia Pop. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4, and the Petunia Pop is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So it's going to show up with just the smallest border. But since we're going to cover it up, we can take a die cut out of that. Now I've not die cut on live TV before because my die cutter is on the other side of the room, and because of some of my physical limitations, I tend to go assistances that are perhaps not entirely Stampin' Up! Sponsored, so to speak. In other words, I have an electric die cutting machine. Hold on just a minute. Let me die cut these for you. I hope it won't take me too long. So what have you found in the Sale-A-Bration catalog that you're falling in love with? Is it the paper, or is it the stamp sets, I've already shown you how to use the heart-shaped bundle. That was an awesome, awesome option, the heart-shaped bundle. And you're going to find one of the challenges. These dies are from the Spotlight on Nature, and I've got this one on white paper. This is the smaller one. This white one's going to be the larger one that I'm going to layer behind the Petunia Pop piece. Now, as much as I love these dies, one of the things you're going to find, one of the things you're going to see when you use these dies is that there's a whole lot of little bitty pieces. Okay, there we go. This is Post-it tape. You can use a Post-it note if you've already got those around, but see how those little pieces stick in the die? I'll clean that up later. As long as I've got all of them out of there, yep, I've got them all out of there. Let's see how the Petunia Pop did. Had you learned that you could use the background piece to cut a die cut from? Let's get these out of the way. Now, oh good, they all came out of the die cut piece, so that's good. So we've got those ready, and we'll do those in a minute. We'll put that together in a minute. You can already start to see how it's going to come together. But the coolest thing about this one is we're going to take this stamp from the Spotlight on Nature dies, and we're going to color it with Petunia Pop and Shy Shamrock. Now, the reason we do this is that it's a stamp that should be, you know, this illustration should be in two different colors. The flower and the stems should not be the same color, and that's not very easy to do with a stamp pad. So we're going to take the Stampin' Right marker. We're going to take the Stampin' Right marker and use the brush end. This is the Petunia Pop, and we're going to color right on the stamp. Now, do not do this with your alcohol markers, but the Stampin' Right markers are dye markers, not alcohol markers. These have got the same ink on them, as far as I know. I think that's correct. The same ink as is on the stamp pad. Anyway, it won't hurt your die. I mean your stamp. That one's not sticking. There we go. Must have been in too much of a hurry. And you want to try to do this pretty quickly because you want the ink to still be nice and viable. Nice and ready to roll, if you will. Ready to stamp when you put it to your paper. Now, I've got a nice pad here, and since this is a red rubber stamp, it's got its own padding, so it should go on just fine. So here's our green. And I'm going to put just another quick coat of Petunia Pop on this to try to be sure that things go really well. That we've got nice... Uh-oh, I see a spot I missed with the green. Shy Shamrock needs to go all the way up to that flower. Thank you very much. All right. Now, we're going to... Have you ever heard of huffing on a stamp? That helps it to be nice and moist still. And we're going to put it on that piece of paper. Sometimes with the bigger stamps, some folks like to put the paper on the stamp, but for this one, because I want to be sure there's plenty of, there we go. I want to be sure there's plenty of contact. I did it the other way. I almost missed the paper, didn't I? All right. This is the only hard part about this, if you call it a hard part, and that is fussy cutting the flower, because the the Spotlight on Nature dyes don't have dyes that cut out the actual items. What they have, what the Spotlight on Nature bundle has is ways to spotlight. In other words, the dyes like this. There's several different patterns there, and you can choose whichever one you prefer. I just really like the look of those little, I should have done this ahead of time. I really like the look of those little pieces on the circle. It looks delicate but not too frilly. You know what I'm saying? It's not too little bit. Okay. All right. Good morning, Vicki. Yes, good morning. Vicki, do you like to die cut or do you prefer to fussy cut? Do you like to fussy cut? Some people will avoid it at all costs, but there are times when it's just what's needed. Obviously, Vicki's got some power. Vicki lives not too far down the road from me. I know some folks that, I live in the country, and some of the folks that I know that live in town are without power at the moment. But I'm glad to see that it's not 100% widespread. Now, I like to leave a pretty good white border on this because it helps to define the piece a little bit. Plus, it also helps you to not have such skinny little stems and things like that. So the piece is a little bit easier to work with. I think it just defines it better. I like that little bit of white. Obviously, I got to trim that one leaf. I left too much at the top of that. Remind me next time that I want to do fussy cutting to cut out an example before I go live. I did several of these yesterday, but did I leave one for today? No. Good morning, Yvonne. It's good to see you this morning. Are you going to be staying in because of ice today, or are you going to be going into town today, Yvonne? I know that you have some concerns in town, but sometimes we can't do everything we want when it comes to travel, particularly when there's been a nice storm. I love the Shy Shamrock and the Petunia pop together. I agree with you, Yvonne. So, you know, I was listening to somebody this morning who said something that really kind of hit home. And they were asking, you know, am I working towards something or am I working from something? And what they were talking about, what this person was talking about, was my walk with the Lord. Am I operating from a place of the victory that's already been gotten? You know, or am I trying to work my way towards that victory? The cost for me has already been paid through Christ. So I know that even when my past experience and old tapes that like to run in my head are saying things like, oh, don't even bother, it's not going to work, you're not going to be able to do this, those things, those tired old lies, I can say, I don't have to listen to that because that's no longer true of me. Now, without Christ in my life, it would be true. It would still be true. 100%, totally true. But not anymore. Now I'm going to do one more thing. I have to decide whether I'm going to do Dear Friend or Thanks. And I think Thanks is going to fit better. So I'm going to pull the Thanks. And this is the only place on the whole card that I'm going to actually use the stamp pad. You know. But see how that, on that, picks it right up. Oh, that's so pretty together. I love it. But this is another thing I'm going to fussy cut. I'm just going to cut around that with a nice, you know, a bubble cut. Have you ever seen things with a cut? I call it a bubble cut behind it. It's just a big outline, but it doesn't go exactly with what it's cutting, you know, what it's surrounding. But it just has a big border. It's particularly handy when you're in a hurry or when you're trying to work on something online and not take too long. It doesn't have to be as precise. So you can just, you notice I'm keeping my scissors steady and I'm moving the piece, especially to get curves. There we go. Now, this should go pretty quickly. This should come together pretty quickly because frankly, I did a lot of these yesterday with different pages and different paper. I'm going to start with, maybe I'll start by putting this on this piece. I think I'll do that. And I'm using the Tombow liquid glue. Probably using too much of the Tombow liquid glue. I have a bad habit of doing that. Usually I use my glue that's in the piece with, I've got a fine line bottle that I usually put my glue in because it does keep me from overdoing. All right, so there's one. Well, yep, got a little bit out. All right, now let's see if I can do this without overdoing. What do you think? On the back of that piece, I have a friend who gave me a little stand to put that bottle in. This really doesn't have a right side up or an upside down. Look, I've got glue on there. You know what I'm going to do with that? I have a glue eraser. Now that it's already dry, it dries fast. But that's one of the reasons that I'm careful. I try to be careful with the Tombow glue. Tombow is what they call a multi-glue. It can be used, there we go. It can be used wet, or you can let it air dry a little bit, and it becomes tacky. And it stays tacky. So when I accidentally get it someplace I didn't want it to be, I find it because I stick to it. And let me tell you true, dirt sticks to it. All kinds of things stick to it. Look at that. Stick that to the piece of paper there. I just stuck that little glue goober. I could have called it something else. But anyway, I just stuck that little glue goober from the tip and stuck it onto a piece of trimmings from my other. Okay, one more flat. This goes together pretty quickly. It's all flat except for the actual items that are on our background, our die cut background. All right, little higher than center. I like that. Now we have our two items that we're going to put on against that. We're going to put this, and we're going to put this. And we're going to put them on dimensionals. Now that can be a challenge sometimes. So let me show you a couple of tricks. First, we're going to look at this. Can you see? Here, let me do this so you can see better. Give you some contrast there. All right. All I got to do is find what I've been using. All right. I have here, I don't have any full-size dimensionals sitting right here on my desk, so we're going to use the small ones, but that's okay. Because what we're going to do is cut up the edges. That is so the thing I do. Okay, one behind each blossom. And watch this. There is no waste in my craft room. I hope you use the edges on your dimensional sheets. If you're not, you're really throwing away a lot of good use. Let's see. I already have some cut here. I don't like that. Alrighty. We're gonna see, I've been cutting up this edge. Now I'll admit it. Sometimes I have to really use that reverse tweezer to get these things in the right place, because I start cutting them down little. I mean little. I want something long and skinny like my stems. So I'm going to hold that and trim it. And trim that piece. And then trim that piece. And then trim that piece. Let's see what we can do with that. All right. This, look at there, sticking to my finger. All right, this piece we're going to put right here. This piece we're going to put right here. All right, those two want to stick together still. All right. This piece right here. And this piece. Right here. Let's see if we can get some of those background pieces off. I really want the tail end of these stems to be floating in the air, so to speak. But the flowers, I want them to be firmly established here. So we're going to get those. Your flowers here would, this one wouldn't work, but for the other flowers you could just use one or two of the regular sized dimensionals. Let me look, make sure I got that all covered. I do. So I'm going to take it by this part. Oh dear. See what happens? Okay. I fiddled that one around. Let's see if I can get that on there without it becoming a problem. Let's put that piece there, and then I got to line it up because it bent right there. There we go. Not quite where I would have put it if it wasn't bent, but it worked. Okay, now here we go on the thanks. Let's see. So I got all kinds of little pieces that I've cut. Some of them work really well. So I want a long skinny piece on that H. that should do me, unless I do a skinny, skinny, skinny piece along the, let's do a little skinny, skinny piece along the length of the, there we go, along the length of the greeting. Okay. There we go. I think I got halfway through telling a story about something I heard this morning. See, I put it almost exactly the wrong place. It should have been rotated a little bit. Let's try this up here. Thanks. That will fit nicely. Anyway, what I was saying about the working from our place of victory instead of our place of victimhood. If you're like me, you've had a lot of things happen to you in your life that weren't very fun. And we tend to, as human beings, we tend to let those things determine our future. But the reality is that those things don't determine our future once we come to live with Christ. When we're alive with Christ, we have the opportunity to recognize that we have a whole new future. So we don't have to live in the past. We don't have to tell ourselves that because we've been such and such in the past, then our future looks so and so, you know, because my future, and yours if you want it, can be in Christ. Now I'm using little tiny glue dots. These came in my paper pumpkin, but I had them left over. But you can use any kind of glue dots, or you can use a drop of glue. That's one of the tiny bee trinkets. I am so enamored. I'm so in love with these. We have bees, and so anything that's bee related, I tend to gravitate to. So I stick those little spots down, and I take the liner off of it, and then I take one of these tiny bee trinkets, because after all, this is a floral card. There we go. And doesn't that just add just the little bit of sparkle that we need? There we go. Ah, Vicki, your internet's probably going in and out because of ice on the lines and stuff like that. But anyway, there we go. There's our thanks. And you can leave it blank inside to write a note, or you can find a nice stamp to go into there. But anyway, like I said, this is basic white, petunia pop, basic white, petunia pop. This is the bloom, doggone it, Bloom Impressions. Thank you, Yvonne. I think it's pretty too. Blooming Impressions paper. I really like this particular piece of that. And I'll show you another one. The one I made as I was playing with this yesterday. See, I got the placement of the flower a little bit different. And so the placement of the other parts are a little bit different too. But anyway, I really like this card. I think it's really, really pretty. And one of the biggest things to remember from this particular video is that if you don't have all the stamp pads, go ahead and get the Stamp and Write markers, because you can do a lot with that when you don't have the stamp pad. If I had wanted to, I could have inked this up with the marker as well, but I didn't. I used the stamp pad. But of course I need to clean this when we're done. But anyway, that's today's card. So I want to thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. And if you can, if you enjoyed today's card, if you enjoyed today's card, I would like for you to go ahead and share my video on your Facebook feed. There's a lot of folks out there that could enjoy this, and they just may not be my friend, but might be yours. So go ahead and share it on your feed, and we'll hopefully we'll find some other folks to join us on Thursday mornings. So yeah, very good. Yeah, I agree. So anyway, I'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday. And let's see, next Thursday we will still have, well, next Thursday will be almost the last day of Sale-A-Bration. It'll be next to the last day. So you've got 8 days to earn more Sale-A-Bration items. So if you want to do that, go right ahead. I'd love to help you out. If you need to check out what's there, you've got your Sale-A-Bration link that's online, and I will see about putting that in the comment section. Let me do that. I wonder if I can. Let me see. All right, there you go. There's the link for the Sale-A-Bration catalog. Okay, and let's see, Spotlight on Nature. I don't have a link for it, but I do have the information. It's on page 69 in the annual catalog. So if there's something that you need, and you don't have the catalog or anything like that, then let me know. Drop me a note at Teresa at sassystampingwiththeresa.com. I'll be glad to get a catalog to you and help you out if I can. Now, one other thing about Sale-A-Bration that's really important. Where did my Sale-A-Bration catalog go? I've buried it somewhere. There it is. I'm as bad as somebody I like to watch online. She's got a key phrase. It's found it. Where was that? But one of the cool things about Sale-A-Bration is they always have a join special. Now, when we say get a little bit nervous about that, but I consider it to be the best sale of the year, because there's no obligation to do this as a business, to do classes online or in person. But what you do get when you join is special deals. You get to see the products earlier. You get to buy them on a pre-order way. But the usual $99 for $125 worth of product of your choice is a really good deal. But during Sale-A-Bration, there are 2 additional options. Option one is a choice of 2 marker sets. Now remember, I used those Stampin' Right markers to ink up my stamp. So that can be a way to get a little bit ahead. If you're starting out, you get markers. That's 20 different colors, so that's really cool. Plus a particular stamp set that's only available to you. Anyway, the other choice, if you don't want the 20 different colors of markers, is a choice of an additional $30 in free product. And let me tell you, this is the better deal. But to each their own. You're getting more bang for your bucks with option 1. But, if we want what we want, if you're like me, if you want what you want, sometimes you just go for what appeals to you the most. That's one of the cool things about this. It's all different. We each get to do our own thing as long as we operate in the way that honors the mode of helping one another and being kind to one another. So today, let's look at let's look at sending cards to help the world be a kinder place. Now, I know some of you already do that. I appreciate that you do that, but let's spread the news, spread the wealth, if you will, and help somebody have a lifted up day. Thank you. I enjoyed your company today, and I love you guys. Bye-bye.